Colder months always make me crave some comfort food, and today we're making meatloaf and mashed potatoes. It's super easy, and we're changing it up a little bit by sneaking in some extra veggies to our meatloaf and using sweet potatoes to change up the flavor. Let's jump in. To a food processor, add 1 chopped medium carrot, add 1 cup of chopped cabbage, and then go ahead and blitz that up. Next, add a large handful of spinach. You can also use arugula like I'm doing today. Blitz that in. We have 1 lone leaf that refuses to be blended. Once your veggies are well blended, almost to a paste like this, it's ready to mix with our meat. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees, or if you're at elevation, 375. Now it's time to get our meatloaf seasoned and formed onto a cookie sheet. To a large bowl, add 1.5 pounds of ground beef. Add in the veggie paste that we made. I have 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese. This adds saltiness and flavor. I have 1/2 cup of rolled oats, 1 egg, and then add in about 1/4 cup of ketchup. To add a little bit of acid to this, I'm using some stone ground mustard. You need a couple teaspoons. You can use regular mustard, yellow mustard, or Dijon mustard. Then I have about 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then some good cranks of salt and pepper. Then we're gonna get in there with our hands and mix everything up. Once your meatloaf is all mixed up and it's looking like almost a loaf, but not a loaf yet, we're gonna set it aside. Using a baking sheet that has ridges, just in case some liquid leaks out, we're gonna line this with parchment paper. Add your meat mixture to the pan. Whoa. And then we're gonna form this into a loaf. Once it's formed into a loaf, you're gonna give the top a heavy drizzle of ketchup. And totally optional, you don't have to, you can just kind of spread it out a little bit to make sure as much as you want is covered. That tomato bakes and it tastes really good. Okay, we're gonna get this into the oven and it's gonna bake for at least an hour, but you can check the internal temperature and it should be around 155 F. Okay, now that our meatloaf is in the oven, we can focus on our potatoes. Today I'm making dinner for 2, so I'm gonna use 2 large sweet potatoes. Can you use regular potatoes for this? Yes, you totally can. You can use 2 large russets. I like about a potato per person, but you can double the batch, save it for later. Though I'll take any potato in any form, I do like when I'm picking them out to not have these little like nubbins because they're really hard to peel, but I didn't pick these out. Adam picked these out, so if you're watching Adam, do better next time, okay? Okay, these are peeled, they made a huge mess, but they're ready to be chopped. Give your potatoes a rough chop. I like to do about this size. These will cook in about 10 minutes in boiling water. You can make them larger if you like a really chunky potato. Just keep in mind you may need to add a few extra minutes to your cooking time. All right, these are rough chopped. Now we gotta get them into some boiling water. After about 10 minutes, check your potatoes. These were still a little bit hard. You want the fork to really be able to just easily sink in, and this doesn't, so they're not ready yet. Once the potatoes are very fork tender, we're going to get them strained out. We're gonna sit them back in our pan just to cool slightly before we season them. When your mashed taties have been cooling for just a little bit, we're gonna get them stirred up. To our mashed potatoes, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of softened butter. We're gonna get this lightly incorporated. Then, using an immersion blender, we're going to get this whipped up. Set your immersion blender aside and we may use it again. Now we gotta season these bad boys. Some salt and pepper, a good tablespoon of honey. You can also use brown sugar or maple syrup. Dash of garlic powder and a dash of cinnamon, about 1/2 teaspoon. Stir this up. Oh, I forgot the milk. We need a little milk. I start with a couple tablespoons of milk and then work in more as needed. Give it a taste test, of course. Ooh, those are so good. They just need to be blended a little bit more. All right, give these a taste. Yes, yes, okay. So we're gonna get these into a serving bowl. If you have a fun pairing for your mashed potatoes, let me know in the comments below. It's hard to make potatoes look pretty, but we'll do our best here. I'll top it with a little extra cinnamon right before serving. All right, our meatloaf is in for 75 minutes. So we're going to let this sit and settle and meld. Okay, our meatloaf rested for about 10 to 15 minutes while I was getting everything else done. You can see that a little bit of liquid did leak out. That's totally normal. Not too much, honestly, and given that we're using ground beef, you could expect more. If you have a ton of liquid leak out, you could add it to your mashed potatoes as a little bit of extra fat, but we don't have enough here to be able to do that. Well, my middle's not quite done yet, but that's okay. We're gonna stick it back in the oven, and obviously my temperature probe did not work this time. So we're gonna give it another 10 minutes, and then we'll get it sliced up and served. Okay, our meatloaf went back into the oven, and now it's ready to come out. So a mistake that I made was putting the temperature probe on the side. When you're checking your temperature, make sure to put it directly in the middle, the thickest part. But this is now, ready to go, and we're gonna let this one set. When you let your meatloaf rest and sit, it will kind of re-solidify, and that's kind of what you want for serving. You wanna be able to have, you know, a little slice here. I feel like I need to make this look nice and pretty for the camera. Grabbing a healthy portion of some mashed potatoes. I served my potatoes with just a little bit of extra butter, and then you can put extra ketchup on top if you want, but I think it's time to give this a try. This is comfort on a plate. It's a little sweet, a little salty. It's the perfect meal for any cold night. I hope you guys give this one a try, and if you do, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.